Yeah,
Mhm,
working?
mhm.
Amazing.
How you
Hi,
doing?
how are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. How's your Thursday going on so far?
My Thursday is good. It's chill. I have to be on set in a couple of hours, but I had the morning off, so that's nice.
Thank you so much for giving us this space, this opportunity. I am Robs, your host from Madison Magazine, and today we're going to talk about your background, a function A, and a little bit about your Internet Movie Database info.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks so much for having me.
excellent. I would love to know related to acting, how was this for you? In which part of your life did you like kind of decided to go for acting?
So I would say I kind of always wanted to be an actor. When I was really little, I wanted to be a musician. Like since I can remember, I always wanted to be like a singer. Like Britney Spears used to be a big like inspiration for me when I was younger. Yeah. And then as I got older, I don't know, I kind of just shifted a little bit more into like the theater world. And so I did a lot of like stage theater, and that kind of was when I got like bit by the acting bug. And yeah, so then I decided to just go for it.
So cool, so spectacular. And do you remember like your first major project? Like the first one, like you remember like it is like wow.
I would say my first like kind of more major that I really remember, I was 19 and I got booked to shoot like an indie horror film in Missouri, which is where I'm from. And
Wow.
I remember when I booked that one, went to set, and that was like my first time on like a set ever too. And it was raining, and I remember at one point like I was, you know, just booked as an actor, and I had never really done much like production at that point. And I didn't realize how much actors are kind of like worshipped and really taken care of like on set. And I remember it raining, and like someone was holding an umbrella over me, and somebody else was like rubbing lotion on my legs and like attaching the clasps on my heels. And I was like, I could do it, like I could do it. And they're like, no, 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 we got you. And it was kind of funny because I felt like a star because I had never like experienced anything like that before. And then when I started working in production, I realized how much you really do have to keep your actors kind of happy and like well kept, because they need to be in a good mood to like get the shot. So it's kind of funny when you're an actor, you definitely get pampered on sets a lot of times, and so that's kind of fun. And I felt like I was like I'd made it, you know, someone was like clasping my heels on for me.
And also, I watched this Dhar Mann experience, isn't it? How did you come across with this concept?
I did my first job with them probably like 2.5 years ago, and that one I booked through my agent that I had. And it was when we did, Dhar Mann does a lot of, what are they called? Like biopics, where you like, they like tell people's stories. Yeah. And so I had gotten booked for one of those, and I played the young version of Christine Dominique. She's a YouTuber and like makeup artist. So that was kind of my first ever experience with Dhar Mann. And it was crazy because when I pulled up to shoot that, Dhar Mann has like a whole studio with multiple buildings. It's like a crazy setup. They have every possible set that you could imagine. It's like 4 different studios. I always have a lot of fun with those crews because they're very comfortable with each other. You know, this is their almost like 9 to 5, like all the crews in production, they're working Monday through Friday every week, like all day shooting these things. So they really know like what they're doing and like how to really crank those kind of projects out. So that was my first time working with Dhar Mann, was like 2.5 years ago. And then yeah, luckily, hopefully they liked me enough that they keep asking me back. So it's a lot of fun. Those projects are always like so lighthearted and like just so much fun. All the actors, like we have a lot of fun with those.
And I have to say, I watched your whole episode, the one you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of my favorites. You just nailed it. It is so insane the way you perform. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun, and I got to meet the woman who I was playing, and that was really cool. And she gave me some of her makeup. I'm a big fan. If you
Oh.
haven't tried her makeup brand,
Oh.
definitely do. But that was like a really cool experience. I loved shooting that one. I had a lot of fun.
And how long did the shooting was like?
I think that one we did like 7 days, maybe
Uh-huh.
6 days. So it was like it was a longer shoot. It was, yeah. For Dhar Mann, typically those shoots are always like 4 or 5 days. I remember that one being a little longer because we had so many different locations. So we had to like go off of their studio for some of the shoot. Like we had to go to like a house for all the house stuff. Like we were in a real house, and so that was kind of I think that was why that one took like a few extra days. But typically Dhar Mann is like 5 days.
And also within this acting life, what would you say is like the easiest and the hardest based in your experience?
Anything comedy is always pretty fun and like not easy because it's definitely like you have to get the timing right with whoever you're like acting with, whoever your scene partner is. But I would say some of the harder, at least for me, I don't know how much you are, how many of all the verticals you've seen on all those apps, Real Short, Good Short, like all those. So I would say in that world, there's some stuff that's a little harder. Those are pretty like stunt heavy. And so there's a lot of like slapping and getting thrown in a pool and that stuff can be kind of hard, especially like pool stuff because typically it's freezing, which is funny because they always shoot them in LA, but every time I've been tossed in a pool, it has been very cold outside. So those are the ones that it's like a little harder for me to maybe put aside the fact that I'm freezing and I'm like shaking and try to like be in the scene. So that can be kind of hard sometimes. Or like stunts where we do have stunt coordinators a lot of the time, but sometimes with like the slaps and some of the more kind of like simple stunts, we won't have a coordinator there for that moment. Like they will have coordinated it another time but we're filming it like the next day or something. And so that can be kind of tricky too, because then you're also thinking about like, all right, I want to make the slap look good. Like I want to react well, or I want to like make sure I hit the angle just right so the camera makes it, because we're never actually slapping each other. It's all movie magic camera angles. So that can kind of get you out of your like actor brain into more of like the physical element of it all. So sometimes that can be tricky, but they're always a lot of fun. There are so many companies now that make them on so many different platforms, and I feel like most of the actors I know in LA, like we are all just shooting them all the time. there's a lot. They pump out a lot of content, and it's very impressive how quickly the turnaround is for basically a feature-length film. Because almost all of these scripts, they end up being about like an hour and a half, if not longer. So it's like basically like you're shooting a feature-length film, and then they just edit it down to those like episodic style,
Wow. And now that you're talking about the script, how do you learn it? What is your process like in order to memorize? Is it complicated or not?
Memorization for me is super easy. I think that's because I did a lot of theater for so long, and like in theater you have to memorize like the whole script to like perform it every night, like in full. And the beauty of film is most days we're shooting like 10 pages for the whole day, or like if it's a crazy busy day, we're shooting like 15 pages for the whole day. And so when I'm used to memorizing like 100 and something pages, memorizing 10 pages is really easy. And so memorization isn't too hard for me, especially I found in like film, and especially the vertical format, the dialogue is pretty short. Like it's like they keep it moving because it's so fast paced. So it's not like I'm really having to memorize like crazy monologues or like anything really, really long. It's very conversational, which is really easy to memorize. And luckily too with film, if I forget my line in the moment in the scene, I'm just like, line and then they feed it to you. So it's not like in theater where it's like if you drop your line or forget it, you are just left at the mercy of like your scene partner to hopefully save you. We do have that like backup of like someone is on the script there like with us. So memorization for film like has never been too hard for me, thankfully. Yeah.
Wow, so cool. And when it comes to feelings like to cry or to feel sad, how's that process for you? Do you use your personal experiences or you just like embody your character and just portray it? How do you do that?
It's like a little bit of both, kind of what you're saying. I studied acting in college in Missouri, and so when I did that, we got to kind of study all of the different classical like acting practitioners or like styles. So like Meisner, which is all about like repetition
Uh,
and kind of like I don't know how familiar you are with all of that kind of stuff, but like with Meisner, it's all about you would just like say things over and over and kind of like feel them and like play with how that emotion makes you feel or how that your scene partner's line makes you feel. And then I'm a big fan of Uta Hagen. She's like another practitioner that I would say I use the most for like all of my actor prep. And she kind of is she's for theater, but I find that it works great for film as well because Uta Hagen, she kind of is like asks you these 9 questions. So it's like you answer these 9 questions about your character and like where are you like in the universe of your character? Like are you at her home? Are you at her work? Like what time of day is it? Like what is your relationship with your scene partner? So I feel like I use a lot of very like almost kind of basic acting things, but it's
uh,
kind of interesting how far those can get you in terms of like emotion. And I always joke like I'm a person who will like cry at a commercial or like cry at a TikTok because it's just like it moves me so much. So it's always been kind of easy for me as an actor to get to an emotional place, but I think that's because as a person, as myself, I'm pretty emotional, you know, like I'll laugh so hard that I cry, like I'll get overwhelmed so I'll cry. Like it's just kind of my default. So then when it comes to acting and I have to like do those types of scenes, it typically is pretty easy. I mean, there are definitely days, you know, because we shoot long days. It's like 12 hours every day, sometimes 5 days in a row. So there have been times where I'm on day like 4 or 5 of the shoot. We're on hour 12 of the day, and I have no tears left in me to like fall out. Like I'm dehydrated. It's not happening. And so luckily there are like tricks of the trade, I guess, that I've had directors and other like actors kind of help me through. Tear stick is a great invention. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's literally like it looks like a tube of lipstick, and you like put it on your fingertips, or you can put it directly like under your eye, and it kind of activates those like tear glands and just like gets the tears going. So I do know like some actors will use that in a pinch. I've never used one on set. I've used them for an audition before because it's also weird, like as an actor auditioning, it's like I'm crying in my kitchen by myself on camera. Like it's a little weird. So sometimes the tear stick does come in great handy, but for like on set, typically, you know, also a very big like music person, so I always have like a song picked out for every character I play, and then if there's a really emotional scene, like I'll create a playlist because music really gets me there. So I'll just kind of like listen to my music, and I know a lot of other actors that do that too. And that's also kind of our universal sign to each other. Like if you see an actor that has headphones in, you're like, okay, they're kind of like in the zone. I'm gonna let them do their thing and like prep emotionally for whatever we're about to shoot. So music is a big one for sure too.
wow, wow, that's so wonderful, so spectacular. And now that you're talking about these scenes, do you have like one in your mind, like it's the hardest you have ever shooted until now?
One of the hardest, I don't know if it's the hardest ever, but definitely one sticks out in my mind when you say that. I recently shot a vertical. It's not out yet. It'll be on Real Short. I don't know when, but sometime. And to share without giving spoilers, there was a scene that I did, and my character is confessing that like her mom had killed herself and she's like kidnapped somebody, and then I'm like holding somebody at gunpoint. And we just didn't have a lot of time to shoot it in the day, and it was supposed to be kind of like the climax scene for my character, but we had like an hour to shoot it. And so we like set everything up, and there were a bunch of stunts in it, and like I had to be dragged out of the room screaming, and I'm supposed to be crying, and like it was like this whole, they had very specific emotional beats they wanted my character to experience in this little scene.
Mhm.
And we ended up having no time, and so they gave me one take with the cameras on me. I got one chance to do it, and they were like, good luck, like we don't have time, so we're just gonna put the camera on you, and like this is your one shot. And so that was kind of stressful because it was supposed to be this really big emotional scene, and then like I had a rehearsal with my scene partner, and then they're like, all right, we don't have time, action, this is your money shot, like. And so that was hard, but I was so thankful. I had such great scene partners, and I was acting opposite a really wonderful actress who was really talented. So she helped me a lot because she was like stayed in it with me. But that one was hard because we just didn't have time, and there were so many stunts, and there were guns involved in the scene. And when there are guns involved, you know, you have to have all these safety meetings, and they have someone on set who is like just there to hold the guns and kind of like maneuver those. And so it was just like so many moving pieces, but we had one take to get it. And so that was pretty hard, but that was really rewarding once it was done.
Okay, because it went well. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. I mean, I didn't think about it too much because I didn't have a chance to like do it. So I was like, fine, we'll see when it comes out.
And do you have like behind the scenes footage? Do you record or you're just like
I don't think I have any behind. There are some actors and some crew people are really good about getting like behind the scenes stuff. I'm not. I have always. I might have like a few photos and stuff, but I'm typically using my phone with that has my script on it. Because what I'll do is like the night before, I like will highlight my script and like write on it like on my iPad, and then I send it to my phone, and then I have that on set to kind of like reference. So anytime I'm on my phone, I'm like always looking at my script on set. So I'm not taking a ton of photos. I do have some. But yeah, it's sometimes it can be really tricky to remember to just like snap a few photos, and then it'll always be a bummer. Like at the end of the day, it'll be like such a fun day, and you're like, oh, dang it, I didn't take a single picture the whole day. And but I think I might have a few. So when I moved to LA, about a month after I moved to LA, COVID hit and everything shut down, and so I was really kind of left to just like take online classes and like be stuck at home. And when I was doing that, I was watching a lot of like panels and like master classes and stuff. And I was seeing a lot of actors talk about just creating your own work and like going out there and making whatever it is that you want to make. And so at that point I had like enough experience on set that I kind of understood the process of how that worked. And then I also had experience prior to moving to LA in a lot of like live event production, like concerts and like women's festivals and like those types of things. And so I had done like that type of production where it was like live events and like just like different shows. And so I kind of combined my knowledge of like acting on set and then like production for live events, and I just started like putting myself out there and being on small sets as like a PA and just kind of like a little assistant to like run and get the coffees and get lunch and just like learn and watch. And over time I started connecting with other filmmakers and like actors that were at my kind of level, and so we just started all kind of helping each other out, and that was where I really started doing a lot of like production and producing, and I just really loved it. There's a lot you can do creatively on the production end that I found as an actor you don't really have a hand in creatively. You know, as an actor, it's more like show up, hit your mark, and like you can be creative within your character. But that was kind of it. And so it was fun on production that you got to be a little more creative with the whole concept and like the style of how we're going to shoot it, or like the colors and like all of that different stuff, which I found really fulfilling and fun. So I just kind of started putting myself out there, and it's really fun. I really love it. It's definitely not as fun as being an actor, but it's still really fun. And you know, there are some just incredibly talented people that work on production, and so I got to meet a lot of really amazing people like doing that.
Yeah. I found it really cool and really admirable. I have to say, I personally admire you so much for pushing the limits and just taking the production and acting as well. And finally, this intimacy coordinator stuff, I found it really interesting. I didn't know that. I have to Google it.
Yeah.
And I found it so cool. How was that for you?
The indie feature that I did in Missouri that I was telling you about, my first ever like project, I had some weird experiences with directors kind of, I mean, I was really young, I was 19 at the time, and directors kind of pushing me towards this idea of like, oh, intimacy, it's not a big deal, like just take your clothes off, that's what actresses do, like no worries, like just don't be weird about it. But I felt really weird about it, and so I was like, I'm not going to do that. And it was something that I kind of stuck with me when I moved to LA, was that like weird experience I had with a couple of directors. And I was in an acting class, and we were talking about a scene that had intimacy in it, and the acting teacher was like, but thank God for intimacy coordinators now, right? And I was like, wait, question, what is that? And I'd never heard of that at all. And she started talking to me about it, and I don't know if you've ever seen the show, what's it on Netflix? Sex something? I can't remember. A really popular show on Netflix that had a lot to do with like teenagers coming into their sexuality, and she was talking to me about that show and how much they use intimacy coordinators for everything. And so I kind of started doing my own independent research, and I found a program that certifies people to be intimacy coordinators. And so I kind of just started taking classes and just to kind of see what it was about. And that was when I learned like intimacy coordinating, a lot of it is reading people's contracts and then like advocating for actors. And I felt like naturally I was someone on set who was a little more outspoken anyway when it came to like them trying to like throw little things at us last second or be like, you guys can kiss really fast, it's fine. And for a lot of actors it is fine, and that's totally okay. But for some actors it's not. And also I think some people forget, for some crew members that's also like not the vibe. And so being an intimacy coordinator, I found a lot of it is just, I'm just like communicating between these different departments, making sure everyone's on the same page. It's a lot less like, I think a lot of people hear intimacy coordinator and they think that you just like choreograph sex scenes. But it's a lot more nuanced than that, I would say. Like I said, like a lot of just like reading the actors' contracts, you know. A lot of actors aren't, they're not afraid to do intimacy scenes, and that's great. And it's like, as long as we're all in the know, we know what's about to happen. These actors know exactly what's expected of them. This director knows exactly what these actors think is expected of them. And there are no surprises. Like, that is the main purpose for an intimacy coordinator. And when you take kind of the pressure off of the actors in those scenes, I found that it always makes them better. It always makes them more natural and like, you know, just less of the pressure of like, oh my gosh, like we have to do all these things, but we have to look good while we do it, and we also have to say our lines, and we also have to think about all these other things, and like make sure like, oh my, if you're like, it's supposed to be implied nudity or something, it's like we want to make sure you're covered in all the right ways. So there just can be a lot of moving parts, and I think as an intimacy coordinator, it just takes some of that pressure off of the actors and the crew to just make the scene really simple. And so yeah.
And I wanted to know, how is typically one day in your life?
It's definitely like a balance. I would say it comes in like ebbs and flows. So like
Mhm.
there will be a couple weeks where I'm like on set all the time. Like I haven't seen my roommate or my boyfriend in like 4 days. Like just on a completely different sleep schedule. Like, and so that's kind of like its own whole life is like when you're working and on set. But I would say like day to day, it's a lot of just like, you know, there's so many freelancers as like actors or producers, crew members, intimacy coordinators. And so LA and entertainment, it's really about that like grind, I feel like, of just like continuing to put yourself out there, continuing to audition, continuing to take a class or reconnect with like a producer or a casting director. Like it's a lot of emails and a lot of like editing videos and just submitting yourself, a lot of rejection. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, or maybe they do, but they don't think about it. Like, you know, I have a friend who's an actress who's working all the time, and she had told me this year or last year, she auditioned over 400 times and booked like 20 of them. And 20 is a lot, but like auditioning, I mean, that means she got rejected 380 times. Like, there's a lot of rejection that I think a lot of actors and just people in entertainment have to face, and that is part of it. So a lot of rejection emails too, and then like treating yourself to a coffee afterwards to like make yourself feel better. But yeah, I would say like my day to day, like I said, I'm a waitress, so like I'm still doing that kind of grind to just make sure my bills are paid, and then like auditioning and sending emails and shooting self tapes, and then like I'm about to get like footage back from a shoot I did, the one I was telling you about with the gun and all the drama. And so I'll have to like edit that down and like post that for like casting directors to see if that's something that I really feel proud of as an actor. So it's a lot of just like almost like book work, like busy work on the computer where you're, you know, submitting yourself for shooting auditions or like emailing your agent. Like it's a lot less glamorous day to day. You know.
And now you're speaking within all of these. Do you like watching yourself in the screen? Do you enjoy it, or is it like kind of cringe?
It is kind of cringe, but you get used to it. I do think you kind of have to be able to watch yourself just to see, like, are the acting choices you're making working? Are, you know, like, is what you're doing reading the way you want it to? I don't particularly love watching myself, but when I studied acting in college and then, like, in classes in LA, they really make you. They make you watch yourself. So you get kind of used to it. And I do think it can be a tool to help you. But I think it's similar to how when people like take a bunch of selfies, you like swipe through and you like hate almost all of them. Like it's the same kind of vibe. But even as an actor, you have even less control because like we don't get to pick like the takes they choose or like which angle they decide to shoot you at, you know. So you kind of have to roll with it in a lot of ways. And I have a lot of trust in the crew. And I joke all the time on set, like, it's not my job to approve the way that I look or, like, the way things look. Like, I just have to say my lines and do my acting and, like, hair and wardrobe and makeup and they're all going to worry about all the other stuff. Like, I'm just going to worry about this. You know?
Excellent. And now that you mentioned all of this, what is your ideal project you would love to be part of?
Yeah, I would say like my dream ideal project. I did a lot of Shakespeare and like kind of classical work in college, and I would love to do like a period film, like something set in like a different time would be so fun and so cool. So that would probably be like my dream ideal role. But I'm always just happy to be on set, you know, and to be booked. So I'll do almost anything. Yeah, but that would be like my dream, you know.
Okay, perfect. Fantastic. And now we have this second part, your internet movie database info. I'm gonna tell you a couple of your projects, and you're gonna tell me like the funniest, the coolest experience you have within each of those.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, the first one is Seeking Justice.
Seeking Justice. That was my first project I did in LA, and I was a producer for it. And then they ended up throwing me in as like these random characters as well. But that project I just learned so much on. I met some amazing, incredibly talented actors and producers that I now still to this day are out doing amazing things. So I would say that was probably the most fun part of Seeking Justice, was all of the hardworking, like talented people I got to meet. Because we were doing that, we made that film like with pennies and a dream. Pennies and a dream. So it was fun.
Excellent. The second one, Enemies with Benefits. This is TV miniseries, isn't it? ASEMA.
Enemies with Benefits. That's the more recent one. Yeah. Oh, that one was so fun. The director, she's one of my favorite directors I've ever worked with in my life. Her name is Paige Compton. And she made that experience like so much fun. We just had a blast like playing with the comedy in the script, and like my character got to have for part of it I wore a blonde wig and had a fake bad British accent, and that was so much fun to play with and like shoot. And I would say that always makes me think of in the script there's a scene where my character has to like do a freestyle dance, and I went to the director and I was like, do you have a vision for what this looks like? And she was like, I trust you, so like do whatever. And so I got to just be the most ridiculous, silly, and insane like dancer for a couple of hours, maybe like an hour. And that was so much fun. I was also very proud of myself for like making the crew laugh, because a lot of the crew, like, you could be shooting something so funny and they'll be behind the camera like and so if I can make the crew laugh, then I take that as a win. So that was really fun with that one.
And do you have usually when a project comes to an end like kind of depression or something like that?
Definitely. I think it's also because of my theater background, and in theater you typically do shows with this tight knit group of people for like months. You'll like rehearse and then perform with this like same cast and crew. And in film it's like you're spending so much time though, like 12 hours a day with the same group of people for like 7, 8, 9 days. It's a lot of time to get to know some people. And so it will be weird because it's like these are your coworkers and also like your whole life for like 2 weeks, and then they're like, so nice to see you. And so on the drive home I'm always so sad, like, dang, I don't even know when I'm gonna see these people again. So it's always a bummer. It always is. It definitely gives me like a little bit of a depression for a day or two after.
And now with this third one, I have Mistaken for a Gold Digger, a soy.
Yeah, that one was really fun too. The thing that I thought was so cool about that project, we got to shoot at this like beautiful hotel across from the Beverly Center in LA, and it was just stunning. And the whole cast and crew, I mean, everyone's so nice. I'm going to say that about all of them because they really are. But our director on that one too, like Danny, he just let us have so much fun. And there was a lot of women in that project. So every day felt like I was going to like my girl band rehearsal or something. Like there was just like all the girlies around, and that was a lot of fun. I had so much fun working with Jessie Gallagher too, who plays the lead in that one. She's amazing and beautiful and so kind and talented, and so that was really fun to get to work opposite her.
And do you have peers working with you like more than one time? Do you have?
Yeah. So there's a couple of girls that I've worked with a handful of times, and then I I've had the same love interest a few times. So I've got to work with the same guy like a few times. And that it's always comforting to show up to set and like have a familiar face, you know, because a lot of times it's like the first days, like the first day of school, it's like you don't know anyone, you don't know where to go, you don't know what's going on yet. So if I have a familiar face in the cast or the crew, like I'm so happy.
And now we have these quick like hot takes. I'm gonna tell you this or that, and you're gonna have to choose.
Okay.
Okay, we can start with acting or producing.
Acting.
Producing or directing.
Producing.
Directing or acting.
Acting.
What makes you laugh the most?
Someone breaking during a scene makes me laugh the most. Like if someone else starts laughing during while we're like shooting, like I'm gonna lose it. So don't laugh.
To play a good girl or a villain.
A villain.
Which role have you played more, like good girl or villain?
I think I played a good girl more. I'm on a villain streak though. The past 3 jobs I've done have been villains, so I'm on a villain streak.
Your favorite place in the US?
Missouri. That's where my family is, so Missouri.
And outside the US, maybe you would love to visit?
Ooh, anywhere in Europe. I've never been to Europe, so anywhere in Europe.
Which person is your role model like right now?
I don't know. That's a hard one. My role model. Maybe like a combination of my parents. My mom, I really admire so many things about her. She's so outspoken and confident and says how she feels, and I really admire those traits about her. And then my dad is like, he's so thoughtful and thinks everything through, and I really admire that, like those traits in him, and they're the perfect like yin and yang, and I feel like if I could learn those traits and combine them, it would be perfect.
What is something most people don't know about you?
I have 7 birthmarks. I have a lot of birthmarks.
Have you ever Googled yourself?
Yeah.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve. Talkative people at a 5 a.m. call time.
What do you usually enjoy like the most doing in your spare time?
Like having dinner with my friends. I love going out to eat. LA has so many cool restaurants too. So that's probably like my favorite thing to do just like on a night off is like grab dinner or drinks with like my friends or my boyfriend.
If you have the chance to give a message to your younger self, what piece of advice would you love to say?
I would say just keep going. Keep going.
And do you have like a goal for like the next 3 years from now?
Definitely. I always have like a small kind of like achievable goals. And I would say like my next big goal is to quit my serving job.
Do you have like a favorite song right now, or it depends?
Yes, I have a favorite song right now. It changes every day, but right now my favorite song is "The Giver" by Chapel Roan that just came out. So good. I'm a big fan of her. We're from like the same area in Missouri too, so like that's kind of cool. So I'm a big fan of hers.
What is like one TV show you can watch over and over?
Ooh, a show I can watch over and over. Probably like, I know everyone says this show, but The Office. Love that show. Also Ted Lasso.
Do you have like a favorite quote? Maybe a quote, like a line?
I don't know. There are definitely like certain quotes that will like just stick with me. Not even because they're like impactful, because like I like the way they sound or like something. But one that, a quote that I think of often, only because my mom had it on the wall in our basement. It's from the movie Gone with the Wind. It's like an old movie. I haven't seen that movie in forever, but the quote is, "You should be kissed and often, and by someone who knows how." And so I don't know why, but I always, like, you said that, and that's what pops into my mind, because that was a quote in my basement like my whole life.
If you could meet a famous person, another celebrity, from the present or from the past, which person would you love to meet?
Ooh, I would love to meet Meryl Streep. She's just such an incredible actor, and she seems like a really, like, grounded, cool person. So I think she would be someone that would be really, really cool to meet.
And final one, do you have like a favorite movie right now?
Favorite movie right now? I'm a big fan of the film Whiplash. Yeah, with the drummer. I think some of my favorite parts about that movie, though, are like how it's shot, like the colors and the style of the, like, cinematography. It's just so beautiful. Big fan of that movie, and the acting is phenomenal.
Wow, you just finished these 3 sections so cool. Wow, you just nailed it. Always. You always do. I have to say, I learned a lot from you from this episode. I love the way that you are just taking all of this, acting, producing, intimacy coordinator. You have such a good vibe. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thanks to you. And finally, do you have any other upcoming projects you would love to share with us?
Yeah, I have a project coming out on Real Short in a month. And then I have another one coming out on Good Short that I just wrapped on that will be out in probably like 2 to 3 months. Yeah. Hi, my name is AMALEA Joy Sanchez. I'm an actor, producer, and an intimacy coordinator. You can follow me at AMALEA J Sanchez on Instagram. And yeah, and I have 7 birthmarks.
And I have to say, it's the first time I know a person with that name.
Yeah.
It's so...
Thanks.
Wow. Do you know what does it mean, or why?
Apparently, it means hardworking. I don't know where my parents found it, but they claim they saw it in a baby book. I don't know. I always joke that they just made it up and were like, sure, because they couldn't agree.
Let's call her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And have you met another person with your name?
No.
No?
I never have. But I've met someone who told me that they knew someone who had my name. And then they showed me her Facebook, like, as proof. They were like, see? And it was spelled the same. So she might be out there. I just haven't met her yet.
Maybe you will make a crossover eventually.
There we go, yeah.
And I think it is so cool for this entertainment industry to have that name, because I believe it's like so original. It's so cool. Kind of like chapo around, something like that. I believe it is so cool, so catchy.
Thank you.
Love it. So I hope you keep having an amazing day, an amazing Thursday. Thanks so much again. You can consider this space whenever you want to. You can consider this space.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
Bye.